Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Max, and as I said in the last video, I want to talk a little bit about equipment. This video is not going to be about me telling you what equipment you should put on each tank. This will mainly be me telling you how you can actually choose the equipment that you want based on how you play specifically, and I think that's how it should be. In all honesty, a lot of the time it feels like people go on a website, people go and look at some video, and they do the exact same thing that someone tells them, and then it's not effective because that is not how they play. Mainly because, think about it this way, you will not be playing the same way that I play. You will not be playing the same way that the Yuxin plays and how Skill plays, okay? The equipment that they use is effective for them, might not be effective for you. As an example, I want to show you this tank. Now, this is my NA account. This is the tier 10 German light tank, okay, which has quite a good gun, okay, as a light tank. So, I do have field mods on this tank, meaning that I have two options of equipment, and my first option is a damage dealing option, because this tank is effective at doing damage, okay. It can be a sniping tank. It's basically like a small, fast Leopard 1, so you can play that way too, okay. The second option is a full-on spotting setup, okay? Now, what I want you to do is, before choosing equipment, go into battle without any equipment. Yes, it might suck. Maybe put something on, like the most default thing you can think of, okay? And then, play a couple games, and think about what you would want to change. Let's say the tank is not fast enough. Well, you can slap on the turbo. Let's say the tank has awful stability. You slap on the stab, okay? Something along these lines, okay? Let's say you decided to play the French light tanks, okay? And you can't seem to be outspotting anyone else. Well, you have an option of putting optics, which gives you additional viewing distance, CVS, which decreases the camo of the enemies, and the low noise exhaust, which helps you with concealment. So, with that out of the way, let's go through each one of these. I do have a little cheat sheet to kind of explain some of the stuff. This video will not be a 1 hour long video again. It'll be hopefully less than 10 minutes, so it won't be too bad. So let's begin with ventilation. So ventilation basically gives you a little bit of everything. It is a useful equipment to put on if you have an open slot and you don't know what to put. It is also useful equipment if you want to get some of the characteristics of a tank up to a certain point. So as an example, in this build, okay, I wanted my concealment to be 36%, so when I play in a double bush, I will be good enough, like the concealment is high enough that I will not be spotted, okay? If we take this off, okay, we will see that this falls below the 36%. That is why I have it on. So I use this because I wanted my concealment to be higher. It also helps with viewing distance and a little bit with aiming time and a little bit with dispersion, I believe, and just a bunch of soft values. It's not a lot, it's not a big boost, but it's helpful, okay? Now, if we go to the improved rotational mechanism, this acts as a stabilizer to an extent, okay? So when you will be moving, you'll have a smaller dispersion, which is good, and it will help you rotate the tank faster. Actually, I think I will take off my little guide on side. I don't think it's going to be too helpful. The gun rammer. Obviously, you will be shooting faster. That's all it does. Enhanced gun range drive. You will be aiming in faster. Okay? Now, with this, I also have to talk about vertical stab. This gives you less dispersion when moving. What does that mean? So, I hope by this time you've noticed when you move in the tank, the circle goes out, okay? This will help to keep it smaller. What this also means is when you stop, instead of having to aim from this, you'll actually be aiming from this, which effectively acts the same as a gun range drive. Because if it takes you 30 seconds to go from this into here, it will take you 2 seconds to go from here into here, okay? So, you want to be choosing between these two carefully, and my honest advice, in most tanks, a vertical stab will be more beneficial because you can then snap shoot and you can shoot on the move easier and stuff like that. Okay, improved aiming. Let's say you have a tank that has an awful dispersion value. You can put this on and it will make the end circle smaller, which means that you will be hitting more shots. Also quite beneficial. The SPA liner, if we look at this, honestly, it is not too effective. The only thing I can think of is if you have, let's say, an IS-7 build, which is specifically built to be Aryamin people, you might want to put this on because it's minus 50% on Aryamin damage. Maybe you have a tank that gets shot with HE a lot, example AMX CDC, something along those lines. Typically, this is not used often as it is not too effective. We have improved hardening, which the main benefit is it gives you additional hit points, okay? And the suspension durability goes up quite significantly. We have modified configuration. The main point of this is, let's say you will be playing an E50, okay? The E50 has the engine in the front, meaning that any shot that you will get from the front will possibly damage the engine, and that sucks. So if you use this, maybe you can withstand 2 shots before that happens, okay? Now, if we look at this, additional Gaussers, the main point of this is maintaining speed when crossing terrain. So you have a tank, and I honestly can't think of any, but as an example, let's take the IS-7, okay? If you're going downhill, you'll be going fast, like 60, 65, maybe even 67. And as soon as you hit water, as soon as you hit sand, you will slow down a lot. With this, you will not slow down as much, meaning that you can keep momentum. So if you notice that you have a fast tank, let's say medium or light tank, and a lot of the time on a lot of maps that don't have just flat pavement, when you hit some kind of terrain, you slow down a lot, and you don't like that, this could be an option. Let's go into the turbo. So obviously engine power and forward and back speed. So if you have a slow tank, let's say the Mouse, giving it +4 additional forward speed is going to be a lot, because you go from going, let's say, 22 to going 26, and that is quite a big change, okay? And the engine power also will help you gain that speed more. Alternatively, if you have a tank which is not able to gain its top speed, so let's say in the last video we played the Skoda T50, I'm not sure if it is the case with that tank, but let's say the top speed is 55 and we can only hit 51. Well, now the top speed is going to become 59 and we will actually go 59, okay? We have a Camo Net, which gives you 12.5% concealment if it is in the slot, but typically it will be 10%, but there's a caveat, it will only activate when you stand still. So if you play a light tank, okay, let's say the EOC even 90, and a lot of your gameplay is focused on finding your bush and sitting in that bush half the game, which not my cup of tea, but some people play that way, and that's okay. If that's what you want to do, maybe going with a Camo Net is a good idea, okay? Same with binos. They give you a lot of viewing distance, but only when you stand still, okay? And both of these have a opposite, well, I wouldn't say opposite, but a similar equipment called coated optics and low noise exhaust. So low noise exhaust only gives you +6 and in a slot +8% concealment, so quite a bit less than the Camo, but it is always active. When you're moving, even when you change a little bit position, so let's say you're sitting in the bush on an even 90 and you just want to move a little bit. Camo Net goes off, you get spotted, okay? With the low noise, it doesn't happen. And same with the coated optics. If you play an active tank, let's say the wheeled light tank specifically, having this doesn't make a lot of sense because you'll be moving a lot, you'll be changing position, you'll be attempting to maybe go up some path and then leave immediately and attempt to spot people. Coated optics is going to help with that a lot. Now, we have the CVS, Commander Vision System. What this basically does is, if you see a tank, I mean, you don't see a tank, but if you know that a tank is hiding in a bush and you cannot spot them, having CVS will help you do that because it takes 20% off of concealment, okay? Which means that if a tank has 100% concealment in the bush, you take off 20%, that is now 80, it is easier to spot them. And also, it does take off concealment on the move too, so that is good. CVS is, I believe you can't put it on all tanks. Specifically, you can't put it on TDs, you can't put it on heavies, SPGs, and you cannot put it on any tank that is less than tier 8, I believe also. So this is kind of a must-have on light tanks that you want to be spotting with, just because of the big advantage in being able to outspot the enemy light tank, okay? Improved radio set, basically all that it does is when you spot someone, they will be visible for 2 seconds longer, and if they spot you, you will be visible for 2 seconds less. So it can be useful in some situations, okay? There's also some career perks which you can use to maximize how long someone is going to be spotted and how long you will be spotted, which can be helpful. I don't use it. I have not even tested it out, to be honest. Maybe I should, because in all honesty, you should test out all of these and see how much you like them. But low noise exhaust, as I said, gives you concealment even on the move, so it doesn't matter if you stand still, if you're moving, it will always give you concealment, okay? And I want to talk a little bit about experimental equipment also. Now, I'm not too sure if this is all of them. I didn't find a way to go into the store to buy them, so I'm just going to show you what I have. But we have a mobility improvement system. Think of it as this. It is a turbo and a stabilizer combined, okay? So if you want to have a stabilizer and a turbo, but you only have one slot, this might be a good option. Gives you 8% bonus engine power, which is good. And it gives you minus 6% dispersion when moving, which is also good. And you will be moving like this, turning quite faster, okay? Improved accuracy system. Same idea. This is a aiming time and stab combined. No, this is an aiming time and improved aiming combined. So you have minus 6% to the cycle size, which is kind of significant, to be honest, and plus 4% to the aiming speed, I should say. So not only will you be aiming it faster, the circle at end is also going to be smaller, which lets you hit people easier. We also have the fire control system, and now this is the aiming speed and the stab at the same time. So let's say maybe you play a tank which has an auto-loading gun, okay? And you don't seem to be aiming in fast enough between the shots. So you have like, it's a 2-second interclip and a 2.5-second aiming time, okay? And you shoot and it doesn't go in fully, but you don't want to wait the additional half second, but you also want to have a stabilizer. This could be a good option. Why not? And then the survival improvement system also gives you hit points and also gives you internal module durability. So this is the hardening and the configuration combined. Also an amazing option because you only lose 2% on hit points and you lose 50% on module durability, but again, that will save you from maybe getting the engine blown out in one shot, maybe the ammo getting shot in one shot, and you get some additional hit points, which is definitely helpful. With these, if you have enough components, you can upgrade them to the maximum. So if you can see, this one only gives 5% power because this is T1. This one gives 8%. Same with the dispersion, it goes down in this one. So you can, if you click on get components and you have a bunch of these, okay, as an example, let's say I don't need 4 of these, okay, I can destroy one of them and get 100 components. Let's do that. And the components went up, which then you can use to upgrade. It does get quite expensive, and I'll be completely honest, I'm not too sure how to get components otherwise, but this seems like the only option. So using this equipment is beneficial, but it is also quite costly and not easy to get your hands on. But eventually you will build enough components to be able to go up to the tier 3s and you can actually use them and it will be quite effective. Now we also have bounty improved equipment, which is often called bond equipment. This is the same as the standard equipment, but just the values have been bumped up significantly. So if you happen to have a lot of bonds and you want to buy one of these and test it out, that is also quite useful. Bounty equipment, I don't have any. I'm not even sure how you can get some. I think it's only like events and stuff. But typically, bounty equipment is going to be the same as standard in the beginning, if not worse, and then you can pay a bunch of credits to upgrade it to become close to the improved equipment. So on that, I'm just going to give you a couple of things to think about. Let's say, as an example, with this tank, okay, I don't have any equipment on it, I don't have any field mods specifically, so I can't swap in between the two. I just bought the tank, and maybe I just bought a texture tank, and I don't plan on getting field mods on it, because that means that I would have to research the next tank and also get additional XP on it, which most people won't be doing. I go into battle, maybe I have some kind of equipment set up that I think might be good, maybe it won't, I don't know. You go into battle, you play 5-6 battles, and you want to think about this. What is the tank lacking, and maybe what do I want to maximize? Let's say this tank is fast. This tank goes 80, I believe. So putting a turbo on it, yes, I guess that will help. You'll be going 84 now, but at the same time, do you need to be going 84? Most cases not. So why not, let's say, put hardening on it, which gives you additional HP, because if you want to be doing damage with this tank, that might be helpful. You can take an additional shot potentially. Maybe an SPG shoots you, maybe a fire goes off, and that could save you. You want to be thinking about things like this. So let's say this is a hybrid tank. You can be spotting with it, and you can also be doing damage with it. So I go into battle and I play 5-6 battles, and out of those 5-6 battles, 5 of them I was doing damage, 1 of them I was doing spotting. And maybe I attempted spotting one of the battles and it wasn't effective, maybe something along those lines. So you will be leaning towards the I want to do damage part instead of I want to be spotting on this tank. And if you don't have any field mods, it will be the most beneficial to you to have a setup which will help you do the damage. So decrease the loading time, okay, maybe add some health points, decrease the dispersion, possibly, maybe decrease the increase the stability, so the aiming time will become smaller with that too, stuff like this. I can't tell you what to put on a tank, because to be honest, you shouldn't be telling anyone what to put on a tank. If I play this tank mainly as a damage dealing tank and secondary as a spotting tank, and I have the ability to have the field mods to switch in between, if I didn't, I would likely have this setup. If not this setup, maybe instead of vents I would put CVS. At the same time, because of that, my concealment goes down, so I don't know. But some people might be want to play this tank as a full-on spotting light tank, okay? Maybe you should get a Manti instead at that point, but if that's what you want to do, go ahead, put on the spotting setup, and that's how you want to play, that's fine. If you want to be playing this tank as a damage dealing tank, well then a spotting setup will not be too helpful for you, okay? And why I'm saying this is because you will not be playing the game the same way that someone else does. You will have your own playstyle, you will have your own decision making, your own game sense, which will lead to how you act in game. And what you want the equipment to do is maximize your effectiveness with the actions that you do. Maybe with time, your playstyle changes. Maybe instead of playing this tank as a shooting tank, you learn how to spot, you learn some new bushes, and you see a lot of opportunities to spot, and then you want to be changing the setup to be a spotting setup. That is totally fine, that is totally valid. None of this is set in stone, and what I would advise you to do is, again, go through all of these, look at what they say. It's kind of self-explanatory, so just look at what they say and think about this. How do I play? Maybe you have an IS-7 and you play the IS-7 as a full-on just heavy tank, and you will be going and attempting to block and stuff like that. Well, then you might need improved hardening and something along those lines. Maybe you play the IS-7 as a more mobile heavy tank, which is able to take key positions, which will include medium positions, because you can be fast enough with a turbo to do that, and then you can be fighting mediums, and you like that playstyle, and that's what you want to do, then do it that way, okay? I want you to think about how you play. I want you to think about what will be beneficial to you specifically. if you want to look at videos and websites and base some stuff off of that as a baseline, test those out, and then play a couple of games and see if you like it or not, and then adjust, that is totally fine. But the big takeaway that I want to say is don't always choose the same thing that someone else does. Even if that someone else has 6,000 WNA, 200,000 battles, blah, 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 they will know things that you don't. They will make decisions that you won't, and they will be playing it a different way. So choose equipment that is going to be helping you specifically. That'll be all. This video should not have a lot of editing, I don't think. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. I will likely go through the crews also. That is slightly more complex because, well, you cannot change them out easily. So that'll be a more difficult video to make, and I will have to actually do a lot of research into that. I also might just do a flat out live commentary video next, which I will just be playing a bunch of tanks, and I will be cutting up clips of useful moments, useful information, showing you how some things can help you and showing you a lot of the game mechanics. So, yeah, till next time, have a good day.